They don't want us to succeed.
How much more do we have to take?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I know this is the third podcast this morning. It's just one of many. Who am I working for? Really, I want to know. Do you have the answer? Let's find out. Who am I working for? Because I got to get another job now. I can't seem to make enough money. Damn, I've been working so hard now, but I still can't provide for my family. There is a knocking at the door. Tax man here. Government want more. Who am I working for? My strength is running out, but I can't quit now. And I'm nearly going under. Can't help but wonder, who am I working for? We can only go up from here, I believe. While you're at the bottom, I'm gonna be so high it's hard to see. I try to smile, but my troubles are so hard to forget. And I'm working like a dog just to get ahead, wondering every single day, is it my turn yet? But somehow I can't seem to get out of debt. There's a devil knocking at the door. Tax man here. Government want more. Lift me up. Fuck being afraid. Who am I working for? We can only go up from here, I believe. No one is more enslaved now than the ones who falsely feel they are free. When it comes to depriving people of their liberty to move around, by the way, those were lyrics from a Tinashe song called Who Am I Working For? That's where the title comes from. And if you listen to the lyrics, that's what she's talking about. Questioning the reality that we live in. And when it comes to depriving people of their liberty to move around, the United States beats all other democracies by a wide margin because 743 out of every 100,000 Americans are in jail. That's crazy. And while it's possible that Cuba and North Korea exceed us in terms of overall percentage of citizens denied freedom because of their political prisoners, we should still be ashamed that we are looking at totalitarian regimes to make it to third place. We also have the highest, I always have a hard time saying recidivism rate, meaning those who go to jail are more likely to return than stay out. Just so you know, blacks are nearly 6 times more likely to be in jail than whites, which indicates continued systemic racism in our country. Speaking of which, we keep minorities poor. The falling unemployment rate since the Great Recession remains cause for joy, but it comes with a caveat. Hispanics are still around 50% less likely to have a job, and for blacks, the unemployment rate is roughly double that of whites. People who can't find a job are hardly free. But even if you do work, we take home less of the wealth we produced in other countries. Did you know that? Once the American middle class was the strongest and richest in the world. That was 35 years ago, and it's no longer true. Our middle class and working poor now take home less of the wealth they produced than the middle class and working poor of countries like Canada, Finland, or the Netherlands. And yes, this is after taxes. So even taking into account the high tax rate of the more socialist nations, Americans are still getting shafted, which is sad, but because we work like mad. Contrary to popular belief, Americans do not work more hours than any other people. We're actually pretty close to the middle in hours worked among developed nations, but there's a downside that is all our own. We work more night and weekend hours than anyone else. 29.2% say they work weekends and 26.6%
Goodbye
work
and
shifts.
the spam call.
Sorry, Gallup shows that our 40-hour work week is more like a 47-hour work week. We also get the fewest vacation days of any developed nation. There's not much freedom if all you do is work and sleep. We also give all our money to our bosses, and over the last 3 decades, the average American's paycheck has barely risen to account for the inflation. All except for the top 1% of Americans. Their average income has risen to 1.26 million annually, or 22 times more than literally everyone else in the country. And our bosses control our health. The United States trails behind the rest of the developed world when it comes to healthcare. We're pretty much the last nation to not have a socialized healthcare system. We fund a private health insurance industry for more than half of Americans. That industry is supported by contributions from your employer. Despite the success of the Affordable Care Act, most people are still tied to the whims of their employers when it comes to coverage, meaning that we're less likely to have a job that we don't like because we're worried that our children or ourselves might get sick if we move to another coverage less position or strike out on our own. Speaking of that, we're less able to start our own business. American entrepreneurship is one of those things that's supposed to be a given, but a large part of that depends on how you define what entrepreneurship actually is. If you think it's the brave individual striking out on his or her own to turn a garage company into a success story, I have bad news for you. America is terrible at that. The risks involved with making it on your own, such as a lack of medical coverage, limit the number of people who will give it a go. Nearly a quarter of the people who do only so do because they can't find work elsewhere. The 19th worst rate of desperate entrepreneurship in the world. It's one of the reasons our social mobility rate sucks. Social mobility describes how likely and able someone is to rise above the level of their parents. Americans love a good rags to riches story. Although, if you actually go back and read any of the Horatio Alger novels that inspired that phrase, you'll see the only reason people ever rise from poverty to success is because they happen to save the drowning child of a rich man. Since we can't all choose Aquaman as a career path, we have to consider more likely scenarios. Unfortunately, the United States doesn't live up to its bootstrapping ideals. We're ranked 13th when it comes to social mobility. The top 3 countries for giving average people the freedom to rise above the station of their birth are the Scandinavian socialist nations. We make having a baby a ridiculous risk. There's no freedom without life, and America makes bringing life into the world harder than at nearly every other developed nation. And half our pregnancies in this country are unplanned, and it's largely a result of our archaic ideas regarding providing healthcare to our people. Those ideas are also why we have an embarrassing infant mortality rate. We're also one of the last countries in the world not to federally mandate maternity leave and paternity leave. Don't make me laugh. In general, Americans give our families less freedom reproductively than nearly any other developed nation. Oh, and we still treat women terribly. You could use the treatment of many minorities to prove that freedom in America is still something of a luxury for a certain class. But I like to use women for my accounting because there are a social minority instead of a numeric one. Half the country is female, and yet not a single major public or private power structure is female majority or even female equal. To be fair to America, no country has yet achieved gender equality, but some of this is embarrassing. In the nearly 100 years since women have won the right to vote in America, only a single major female for president has ever been put forward, and Hillary Clinton's journey from first lady to senator to secretary of state is so unique, I'm willing to bet it will never be replicated by anyone. This is usually where some men's power advocate will type out a comment that American women have made much better than women in Muslim countries, but of the 5 most populous Muslim majority countries, 4 of them have already elected female heads of state. Women make up 1/3 of the Supreme Court, less than 20% of Congress, and less than 15% of top executives. No matter how you slice it, the doors are still closed to a huge chunk of America. In short, we are really not that free. The rich are free. White men are free. Whites are free. Everyone is free-ish. Just like it was when this country was founded. The only thing to really celebrate is how far we've closed the gap between free-ish and true freedom. Please have a great day, y'all. I'll be back with some block drops momentarily. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and share the movement, all right? Enjoy your day.
Blah, blah.